Lived experience. The obstacles and negative life experiences I have faced and had to overcome as a trans woman personally have played out in the lives of so many of my siblings globally. And my testament is only the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. When we talk of the stigma we endure and the discrimination we face on a day-to-day basis driven by transphobia and the lack of basic knowledge and the respect for personal autonomy. I've been locked up, attacked by the media, my life's been threatened. I've been humiliatingly strip-searched at airports. Many of the cases of inhumane treatment and violence that trans people face go unreported, unfortunately. Because of the incongruent presentation between their physical appearance and the mark denoting their sex on their official documentation, many trans people are denied services like opening a bank account, seeking accommodation, or even receiving life-saving medical care. There's a systemic violence meted out by unsupportive and criminalizing political systems. The resultant threats we must face daily, from bullying in schools and verbal attacks in the street and in public spaces. The physical violence, oftentimes gruesome and extreme to the point of outright murder. Since the inception of TGU's Trans Murder Monitoring Report in 2008, more than 5,000 trans people have been murdered. It is during this time, Trans Awareness Month, marked by Trans Day of Remembrance on November 20th, that we bring some dignity and honor to the names of our fallen siblings. Sadly, the general public does not see the need for and importance of having a document that accurately reflects who you are. Hence the requirement to amplify the need for legal gender recognition by governments. In so doing, trans people must be allowed to do so without the need for rigorous and cumbersome conditions such as the requirement for prior medical and psychological treatments and procedures and or witness testimonies from third parties, with all this being done in a long-winded and unclear administrative process. Legal documents of identification must be given upon the request of an individual with little to no question and with no conditions. Argentina. Argentina passed its gender identity law in 2012. Like the countries that followed, by removing the barriers to legal gender recognition, such as the need for medical diagnosis, gender-affirming surgery, or a judge's opinion, this law allows trans diverse people the right to self-identify and the freedom to develop themselves according to their gender identity. Additionally, they must be treated according to their gender identity, with all documents reflecting their name, image, and sex. As of June 2023, 16,090 trans people had successfully changed their gender markers in Argentina since the law passed in 2012. Many of them report a complete change for the better in their lives. Incidents of violence decreased, society became more accepting, and they could participate fully in all aspects of their lives. They could complete their education, be gainfully employed, and even participate in politics at the highest level. Alba Rueda became the first openly trans politician in Argentina to hold a senior governmental position when she served as the Undersecretary of Diversity Policies within the Ministry of Women, Genders and Diversity for almost 2.5 years between January 2020 and May 2022. In Malta, in 2015, Malta passed the Gender Identity, Gender Expression and Sex Characteristics Act, which supports self-determination for legal gender recognition. This law has led to greater visibility and societal acceptance of trans rights, with improvements in access to medical care and protections against discrimination. As an example, Carly May, a trans model, became the first trans model to walk during Malta Fashion Week in 2015 after the passing of the law. She has continued to use her craft to shape society's acceptance of trans identities and raises awareness of trans issues not only in Malta but across Europe. Number 1. Remove barriers that require gender identity to be clinically diagnosed or validated by medical or psychological professionals. Allow individuals to self-declare their gender identity in a straightforward administrative process without the need for medical evaluation. Trans people know their own identity better than anybody else. Number 2, remove requirements that trans people undergo medical procedures before changing identities. A person's identity is internal. It is not always dependent on changing anatomy. Whether a trans person accesses medical procedures to affirm their gender or not should be their decision, not a precondition to obtaining the gender marker that reflects their lived reality. Number 3, enact laws with supporting policy frameworks that expressly allow for self-determination of gender identity. Ensure that these laws and policies protect individuals from discrimination based on gender identity in employment, education, healthcare, and other areas. Number 4, permit individuals to amend their gender marker and name on all official documents, including birth certificates, passports, educational records, and IDs, without undue burden. Number 5, develop training programs for public officials, especially those working in health, education, social services, and law enforcement, to respect and correctly implement policies related to self-determined gender recognition. Number 6, establish oversight mechanisms to monitor the implementation of self-determination gender recognition policies and assess their effectiveness.